It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. It is your Feel Good Breakfast show, and it's Monday morning, and we are talking relationships. And less than a generation, our entire way of dating and relating to each other has changed. Now, driven by a complex mixture of technology, sexual liberation, distrust of marriage, focus on career, and increasing freedom of travel, we face a relationship climate that looks very bleak. Now, today we chat about finding love in the modern era, featuring the relationship architect, Shelley Lewin, as well as clinical psychologist, Slindile Mbata. Now, if you have thoughts or experiences to share, feel free to be part of this conversation. Send us a voice note on 063 408 8863. We would love to hear from you. And also, do stay tuned to your Feel Good Breakfast show. As we're going to be part of this discussion, we will also launch a new and exciting way for you at home to find love.
Okay, this suddenly just turned on us. Okay, we're not going to, well, we might set you up for life.
You have to stay tuned.
You've got to stay tuned. I love it. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us. As we read out the new modes of finding love, I can literally see the maths above your heads trying to figure this all out. Because the game has changed so radically. It's been a quantum leap forward, and we've kind of marveled at how all of our industries have changed because of technology and where we're at and our connectedness. Dating, exactly the same. So many people that I know never met face-to-face. They're connected in some other way. Why has it changed so dramatically now? Did we lose trust in the old ways? Why have we embraced this new way of finding love? And is there love within that? Are we seeing long relationships? Because I think of myself in my young years, you meet someone, you stick with them for 3-4 years, you move on to the next relationship until you find the one. Now it seems a constant, steady stream of dating. What is going on, Slee?
Yeah, well, I think, as you mentioned, Graham, as with most things, technology really has changed the way that we engage with each other. It's supposed to make life easier, and for the most part it does. But I think what it's also done in the dating world is that it's suddenly opened up to so much access, to so many more people than ever before. So I think whereas we might have dated, somebody that we actually know, or someone that we meet through a friend or a neighbor, nowadays you can sort of date through online platforms, people who are overseas, people who are in a different province. So suddenly you have access to so many more people than before, and it means the volume of people too.
Yeah, she's swiping there.
She's swiping. The volume of people that you see is so much. And I think it can mean that because of that, there are so many more options, and potentially it could actually, sometimes I think it can make people a little bit more fickle in terms of how it is that they're dating. Okay, well, I didn't like this encounter. Let me move on to the next one.
Well, Shelley, I find that if you look at how the dating apps have been structured, it is made for you to find your perfect match. And you would think with all this technology behind it that would be it. But why do we find that these relationships these days are so short-lived?
Well, I've got two suggestions on that. The first is around that not all dating apps are designed equal. So some are designed for convenience, which is who is single and available nearby, but then there are other technologies that have much more sophisticated matching algorithms with a focus on compatibility. So who is going to be a great match for me locally or even globally, and so it depends on the app that you're using. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is that compatibility is only one of 3 domains in which a relationship or love emerges. So you also need to look out for intimacy, and if someone has the capacity to be vulnerable and to be intimate, and also partnering ability. So do they have the relationship skills to make it work? So you've got to have all 3.
I'm thinking in a perfect world, we'll get to the point where you've got to train up to be on a dating website, where you've got to get those skills in check, where you've got to be able to prove your intimacy score is 7 before you can enter into a meaningful relationship. I mean, surely this is a good thing. Surely these tools are going to help us, because out of the 7-odd billion people on the planet, if we're expecting to find our one, we're going to need a little bit of help. And it's amazing to me that most often in the past that one would be living on a farm 100 kilometers away from you. You'd have to travel on horseback, meet the one, and then you'd partner up for the rest of your lives. Not like that anymore. Is this a realistic notion, this idea that we have that one person, our soulmate, waiting for us? Or is it a timing thing? In your experience in this space, because everyone's going to have a different notion of what that actually means, is this unrealistic for us to enter into the love game thinking, I'm going to find the one?
Yeah. Good question.
We're talking about everyone else, not
Right.
not
yeah,
you.
yeah. Well, I think first of all, it depends on what do you mean by, what is your own individual idea of a soulmate. I think there's a typical idea that there's this one individual who's just perfectly made for you with these attributes that will just match perfectly with yours. Whereas I think real life experience would tend to lead us to think that's not really the case. You might have to really, you might be compatible with more than one person, for many, many different reasons. And if you are looking for, the soulmate, the perfect person who has to be physically, emotionally, psychologically, every aspect compatible, you might have a bit of a difficult time. So I think in any relationship, in any romantic relationship, you might not get 100% of what it is that you're looking for all the time. I don't know how realistic that is, but you might actually manage to get most of what you're looking for with a particular individual or many different individuals and actually find that you can make it work.
Can we call it the ones? I'm looking for the ones. The ones in the millions.
Yeah.
Okay, it's the ones we're looking for. No, I absolutely get that. Don't laugh, because I know how tough it is out in the dating game. It took me doing a live TV show in front of millions of people to find one. Others have found it online. You can find it in many different ways, but we want to continue this conversation. If you have found love in one of these amazing new ways of connecting with people out there, we'd love to hear from you. 0634088863. Drop us a voice note.
Looking for love but struggling to meet the right person for you? Love is Love is an exciting new dating reality TV show that could help you find your match. WhatsApp a video introducing yourself and what you're looking for in a partner to 068 479 1441 and you could be selected to take part in the TV show. Enter now on 068 479 1441. Love is Love, coming soon to SABC2.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Summer love is a flutter, and we're back with our panel discussing finding love in the modern dating era. And boy, isn't it a crazy landscape out there. We're joined once again by two of our favorites, the relationship architect herself, Shelley Lewin, as well as clinical psychologist Slindile Mbata. And we want you guys please to stay glued to this discussion as we are going to be launching a brand new and very exciting way that you could find love at home. In fact, we could bring it directly to you. But ladies, thanks for sticking around. This is a tough one.
I know, and I feel like, Shelley, as the relationship architect, you know, we're thinking of structure and today, the modern world, how relationships are forming and how they are constructed. What do you find is potentially lacking in today's way of dating if you had to compare it to previous years?
Wow, compared to previous years, probably the volumes that Slee mentioned earlier, just so many people. So I really think you've got to be very selective about the platforms that you're using and be careful because you don't know who's online.
Yeah.
And so you can be catfished, you can have someone misrepresenting themselves. And so you really want to make sure that the platform is going to help you with it to be really comprehensive in doing its due diligence.
Yeah.
You know, it needs to be the more sophisticated the platform, the more time it takes to fill in the forms. Yes, it's tedious to spend 2-3 hours filling out the online profile and ticking 120 boxes, but that's actually the point. That's where it offers the most value.
Can kick in, yeah.
You know, so it's doing the due diligence for you. You're looking for a life partner, someone that you're going to spend a very long time with. So you want a very sophisticated piece of technology as part of your strategy, and you want to try and see the person as soon as possible, and also to use your instinct and your intuition and chemistry. So the other thing that I think that happens is people confuse chemistry with compatibility. Just because someone is desirable to you, they look good, smell good, feel good, doesn't mean that in the long run it's going to be a sensible match. So don't get too swept up in the excitement of desirability.
Ooh, I'm the notebook, man. I want that craziness because that's what it takes to find love. You got to go through the hard.
It's one of, yes.
No, for sure. There is no one size fits all, unfortunately, as you would find every day in your respective careers. Trying to find a match, and I often tell this to the rest of my family, is that trying to coexist with someone else is probably the most crazy balancing act you can have. But once you start to get it right, then you experience love on a different level. So how do we search for love, Slee? I'm searching in my own soul right now for an answer. Is it about trying as many people as you can to find that connection? Or is it about putting in the hard yards with that person where there is that chemistry, where you know, hang on a minute, okay, I'm ticking like 3 out of these 5 boxes. Let's go all in and see if we can make this thing work. What is the healthy way to approach this? Or is there one way? Should we be opening our minds a bit more?
Yeah, I think, Graham, you know, for me, the approach that I think might be most sensible is focusing on quality of a relationship versus the quantity, right? So you want to think about what are the things that I want to see happen in this relationship. What attributes do I want to learn and engage with in this person? What attributes do I want to show them, you know, that I have as a partner? How can I build, you know, this relationship in a meaningful way that it will be sustainable in the long term? So perhaps focusing on how I can have a quality and healthy relationship with the person. How do I learn to resolve conflict positively with this person? You know, all those very, very important things, as opposed to, okay, well, you know, there's this other person who looks really, really good, whose profile looks really nice, and then you fall into this trap of like, well, I don't want to miss out. This is great, but what if that's better? So I think falling into that trap of comparing too many people, you know, doing too much dating as well, it can really make things a lot more difficult than actually just focusing on building a quality, healthy relationship.
Because you can't control anyone else. You can't control what other people are putting down in their profiles on the websites. You can't control what algorithms are driving those websites. You can control yourself and in terms of what you want. And I think a good way to define whether it's you're looking for a hookup or you're looking for a long-term relationship, start thinking and talking about how you want to parent your children. And then very quickly, I think those two paths will start to separate, but really, really interesting stuff. Please keep your comments coming. If you want to drop us an insight, please, we'd love to hear from you if you've got personal perspective dating in this crazy modern era. 0634088863. Drop us a voice note. We'd love to hear from you. And yes, this is a safe place.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You're just in time as we're about to wrap up our conversation around finding love in this era and of, in fact, the era of dating apps and hookups. That is basically a hookup culture, and how it can be deflating and often frustrating. But do not worry, we're wrapping up our panel discussion on finding love by crystallizing practical actions, and we have a wonderful panel with us this morning. We have the relationship architect, Shelley Lewin, joining us this morning, as well as clinical psychologist, Slindile Mbata. Now, Shelley, to wrap it up, I think a lot of us, you know, you go on the apps, you get hurt, and now you have to pluck up the courage to go on these apps again and continuously put yourself out there. How can you, what words of wisdom can you leave us with so that we are not discouraged if one relationship doesn't work out like we had hoped, or, you know, to just wipe away the doubt and the dust and to just continue to put ourselves out there?
Well, first of all, I think that this idea of rejection is not a feeling. Rejection is a mental construct that you're doing to yourself. You are basically, it's an assessment that I'm not good enough. And instead of assessing that you're not good enough, you're not adequate in some way, and someone else has rejected you, what about this idea that we just weren't aligned? Yes, we weren't aligned, and actually we're better off that we're not trying to force ourselves together, because it's not going to work naturally. And to stay optimistic, I would say really just remind yourself, focus on a relationship that's significant to you, where you are bringing value. You know, stop comparing yourself to other people. Focus on your authenticity and the value that you bring, and think about that relationship where you feel you're bringing an amazing version of yourself, and keep in mind all the things that you have to offer somebody. And that somebody is you're going to meet that person. Just stay in that zone of, I have so much value to bring. You will meet that person if you are able to be clear around the value that you have to offer in a relationship. And that you are assessing other people, whether they're good enough, and assess whether they're aligned with you. Not am I good enough for them, but are you good enough for me?
That's very true.
How much do you charge by the hour? All of us went into our inner space there, like just working through that checklist. But you guys do have an unfair advantage in life, so this we love leading you on this in this way. We got the first date down, Slee. The chemistry is there. How do we focus on growing a relationship in a positive way?
I think for one, I mean, what Shelley mentioned is so incredibly important. You do not stop that part of actually focusing on this relationship with yourself too. So for one, I think that self-development continuously is very, very important. Be able to reflect and also see what it is that you're bringing into the space, good and bad. So what attributes do you bring in here that make this relationship work, but also what do you bring that might pose a challenge, you know, for the other person, and are you working on that? So the other thing I would say is really learn how to invest in the relationship, learn how to invest in the other person. Focus on building an incredible friendship. You know, sometimes we do this thing where it's like we're too scared for the relationship being too friendly, and you know, you almost don't, you forget how to like the person and focus so much on loving them.
Yeah.
And then you know, inevitably you forget to be friends with each other and to take interest in each other's lives and share the things that matter to each other. So I think really building a genuine friendship and following up and being consistent in that is something that's really, really key.
It's a notebook for me. All fireworks, we love it. Oh, thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. I think it's absolutely vital that in this new dating landscape, you think about yourself, what you can bring to a relationship, and what your intentions are. Are you looking to just date, or are you really looking for a long-term relationship and what that means to you? That is a good place to start.
Definitely, and it's also time to put what you've learned today to good use as we launch an exciting new dating show that's going to take Mzansi by storm. Love is Love is a reality show that will open South Africans to alternative forms of meeting people in innovative and interesting ways. Let's check it out.
Are you looking for love but struggling to meet the right person for you? Love is Love is an exciting new dating reality TV show that could help you find your match. WhatsApp a video introducing yourself and what you're looking for in a partner to 068 479 1441, and you could be selected to take part in the TV show. Enter now on 068 479 1441. Love is Love, coming soon to SABC2.